Everyone, today we are doing Space Invaders Part 2 and we'll be working on player movement and borders. Now, if you did not watch the previous video, please make sure to watch that before you start this video because we covered some more important details in the previous video. So watch that one first. I'll put the link in the description and I'll also and so you can actually go back and watch the video. So, let's actually go into our Python project and recap what we have done in the previous video. See you there! Okay, so here is the code that we had last time. Now, if I run this, so it should run. So let's just let's just run this. Main. Okay, so if I run this, if you watched the last video, so the part 1, then you would have noticed that the ship has changed. That's because I found an image that looked a bit more cooler because I like pixels, so I put this. So I'm going to put this in the description as well so you can download it if you want. So here we only actually displayed our picture. Now we didn't actually do anything else. But before we actually put in any key presses or anything, I want to tell you something. So first, I'm going to bring up something over here. So this is my drawing pad, and I just drew something for you so you could understand. So this is our y coordinate over here. So this line, if you look at my cursor, this line over here is my y coordinate. Okay. And also, actually, let me just get a different color. Yeah, I'll get yellow. There we go. So over here, this one over here is the y-axis, okay? And this line over here is the x-axis. Okay, so we would have 800 for our x-axis and 600 for our y-axis. So 800 width and 600 height. Now, these are basically physics of player movement in Pygames. So let's say this is our original player. Okay, so I'm just gonna highlight it like that. So this is our original player. So we've got, let's say the position is at 370, okay? If we want to move forward, so if you want to move right, so I'm just going to say R. If you want to move right, then we need to add 5, okay? Because here we have like, in the middle over here is 0 for the x-axis. So we have 0, 1, 2, all the way up to 370, okay? Okay, so all the way up to 370. So we have to add 5 if we want to move to position 375 because we are moving forward. And as I told you, there's 0 down here and 300 and then 600, 800 up here. Okay, so I'm just gonna put in 800. Okay, so not very clear, but let's just say you get it. Okay, so same if you want to move left. So L, then you would have to take away 5. You have to take away 5, and then if you do that, you get 365. So let's actually get back to our PyCharm project and actually explore this theory. Okay, so what we are going to do is I'm going to put in a comment. Actually, let's just indent that. Be careful. Indenting is really important. So what you need to do is you need to put this in line with the for loop. Okay, so I'm gonna put a comment here saying so this one will detect key presses. Okay, so detect the right and left key presses. So similar to this over here, we did that in the previous video. I'm going to say if event.type, okay, so event.type, so the type of event, if it is equal to pygame.key down. So what I mean by key down is if the player has pressed the key. Okay, so if they have pressed the key, now we need to determine if that key is right or left. So I'm going to say again, if event dot key, so if event dot key is equal to pygame dot key, not key, K, and then left. So I'm going to use the left and right arrow keys. Or if you want, you can use W like that. Okay, but I'm going to put left. So if it is left, if it is the left key, left arrow key, then I'm going to say player. Actually, if it is the left arrow key, I'm just going to write in print left arrow key is pressed. Okay, so left arrow key is pressed. So let me just okay, there we go. And same with right. I'm gonna put in right here. Okay, so same with right. I'm going to say instead of K left, it is K right. And instead of saying left arrow key, I'm gonna put in right arrow key. So right. Okay, so let's actually run this now. So I'll put this here. I'm gonna open up this. Oops, let's actually just run that again. I'm gonna run that again. So if I do run that, I'm gonna press my left arrow key. Okay, so I'm gonna press my right. I press my right arrow key, and it came with an infinite. It came really long. So if I press it again, it comes for a lot of time. So that is not what we want. So now what we're going to do is detect if a key is released. Okay, so that is similar. What we can do is we can say if event dot type is equal to pygame dot key up. Okay, so if it is equal to pygame dot key up, and remember you need two equals, sorry. So pygame, if it is equal to pygame dot key up, I'm going to say if event dot key is equal to pygame dot K left. So if the key released is the left or the right arrow key, left, or so you want to put in the right arrow key as well, event dot key is equal to pygame dot key pygame dot key right. Then what we want to do is I'm going to print out left or right arrow key is released. Okay, and let's run this now. So let's just put this over here. I'm going to press the right. Okay, so it's becoming an infinity loop. So what I'm going to do here is don't worry about that, but surely you'll get a idea of what we are doing. So we want to instead of printing, I'm actually just going to return it. Okay, because it will only do it once. Whoops. Okay, so sorry about that, because as you saw, you can't return in if statements. You can only return in while loops like that. So I'm just gonna put in print, but surely you would have gotten the idea of it now. Okay, so it'll do something when the left or right arrow key is pressed. So now we actually want to move the player. Okay, so what I'm going to do up here, right here, in this player section, I'm gonna say player X change. So this will be how we're gonna change our X. So this will be how we're gonna change our X. So are we gonna change it by 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, whatever speed we want it to. Okay, so I'm gonna put in 0.1. But before we actually do key detections, what I'm gonna do is I wanna clear this and I wanna show you something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say in this while loop, I'm gonna say player plus and so not player X plus equals 0.1. And let's look at what will happen. So you can see our players moving slowly to the right. So let's actually just speed that up with a high speed. So I'm gonna say 2 instead, because like my so I'm just gonna say 2. You can play around with it if you like. So okay, so it's moving off the screen. So let's actually try up as well. Let's actually try the other side. So plus equals, we're doing minus equals, like you saw in that image. Run that. That's actually just okay, so it's going that way. Beautiful. That is working perfectly. What we're gonna do now, instead of player X, we're gonna put in player Y. We're gonna run that. Okay, so sorry. Okay, so obviously we need to change that to player Y. So it's gonna come up. Okay, so it's going up. Beautiful. So that is working like a normal rocket ship. If I do this, don't worry, it's gonna. Okay, so it's going down. So all of those are working. So now let's actually use these theories to actually build up that build that up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna undo everything. Okay, so I'm just gonna undo everything. Okay, so that came back. So now, as you saw here, I made something called player X change. So now, what we want to do is, if it goes left, we want to do this. So instead of printing out all of this, I want to do player X underscore change is equal to -2. You can play around with this value if you like, but I'm just going to set it to -2. And also I'm going to say player X underscore change is equal to 2, okay, because we are adding, not subtracting. And also let me just change that. There you go. So also over here I'm gonna say player, whoops, sorry. I'm gonna say player X underscore change is equal to 2. So, because we don't want it to change, but let's actually see what happens. So, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna run it, obviously. Okay, so I am pressing left and right arrow keys, and nothing is working right now. And you may be thinking, why? Well, that is because we need to change something in this player function over here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to put in some parameters in my function. So I'm going to put in X and Y. Instead of player image, I'm going to put in X and Y. Okay, so now as you can see down here, it's highlighted. So I need to say player X and player Y. So let's run that. Okay, so that still isn't working. Now let's actually see why that is happening. So, as you saw, we wrote all the key presses, we did all of that, but we missed another important thing. We actually wanted to actually make it move. These were just detecting key presses, so we didn't really do anything. So what I want to do, I'm just going to put in a comment, and I'm going to say moving the player. Okay, so I put in a comment, and now I'm going to say player x plus equals player x change. Now, as you saw here, it says -2. So how are you going to add that? It works for here, but it doesn't work for here, does it? So I'm going to write in another comment. So basically, it's just pure math. So basically, we have our player X, and our player X is 370 right now. So player X, we want to add 2. So I'm gonna say X plus 2. Okay, not X, sorry, X plus 2. So that would work normally, but how about a minus value? So you could do X plus -2. Okay, so basically, if you simplify it, you get x minus 2. So there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so that's completely fine. Okay, so now let's run it. Should work. Okay, so you can see it's moving right off the screen for no reason. Now that is because we put it's equal to 2. So it also read this calculation as well. So what we need to do is just set that to 0. Okay, and it won't move anywhere. So I'm just waiting. There you go. So I can move it around and everywhere I want. Okay, so you can tweak the speed if you like anywhere you want. So it doesn't matter. You can tweak it if you want. Okay, so I'm just tweaking it so it's a bit faster. So now, as you can see, our ship is going off the edge. Now that isn't what we want, because this is, if we're trying to make Space Invaders, well, we don't want the ship going off the screen, do we? So what we need to do is we need to actually add some borders to our screen so our ship does not go right off. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to have to detect whenever our player is near the edge of the screen. So this is actually really easy. So what I am going to do is right under here for our player movement, I'm going to just put in if and a if statement. So I'm going to say if the player X is smaller than or equal to 0, what we're going to do is we're actually going to set player X. We're going to actually set player X to 0. Now, why are we doing that? Wouldn't somebody see that, like, it just glitches back to the screen? No, well, they wouldn't, because Python is really fast, so it would be so quick that we won't even see it happening. It will look like we're just not allowed to go, but really all we're doing is we are deleting the image that goes off the border and just putting it back to the place it was. Okay, so that is all we're doing. So that step is really easy. Now the actual hard part is sometimes your ship is bigger, your ship is smaller if you choose a different ship. So if I say, so sometimes you have to tweak the value sometimes. So I'm going to say if player X is smaller than or equal to 750. Okay, yes, that is really high. I had to tweak mine for ages before I actually got the exact value. It wouldn't work, so you may have to do that too. So now if we test it, it should work again. Whoops, see? Sometimes that happens and you have to keep on tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. So the 0 is working perfectly because we all know that this is 0. Okay, right here is 0. So that's the logic. So but here, well, it's not really working that well, is it? Okay. So what we need to do is tweak and tweak and tweak until we actually find the value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and come back when I've tweaked my value. Okay, so I just came back and I realized that I didn't tweak, that I didn't include this part over here. But you need to still tweak your value if it doesn't come back. So now let's actually test it. Whoops. Now let's test it. It should work now. Let's just wait. Okay, I'm gonna run this again actually. So it should come up. Let me just run it from here then. Okay, run. Okay, so I wanna run main. Okay, so it's coming. So if I just move. Okay, so that's working. If I move again. That's working. Beautiful. So, what you just learned right now is you just learn how to create a border, move your player, change the speed, and you learn a lot about some pygame physics and how it works, like play movement. Okay, so that will help a lot. Now, remember, I will actually be putting this code I'll be putting this code in GitHub and I'll give the link so you can download it or just review it if you like. I'll also put the image link so you can just get that, because in case you want to change the image, or you can put your own image. I'm not complaining, okay? And also, if you like this video, please subscribe and click the like button. If you have any comments or if you have any suggestions, please suggest them in the comments. If you have any doubts, then please say them in the comments as well. So, I guess that's the end of this video. Bye.